All right. This is a video. I'm going to tell you how to get the LoggerPro program onto your computer. If you are using a Chromebook, then this is the wrong video for you. If you are using a desktop computer or your own laptop, not a Chromebook, but a laptop, then this is a video that will help you figure out how to get that LoggerPro onto that machine. Now, you can, if you have a Chromebook and a laptop, you can definitely do just the Chromebook option. If you do have a laptop, especially if you are thinking about taking the laptop that you have now off to college next year, if you're a senior, this is a great piece of software to have. And the license that we have to distribute to students, you can keep it forever. And I think you get the updates and all that. So this is a good option if you have a computer, especially if you are going to be taking that with you. Also, this LoggerPro version compared to Graphical Analysis 4 has more features. There's more bells and whistles and tricks you can do. All right, so first thing you need to do is look at this list right here and find the link that applies to you. I'm going to also include a link in our Google Classroom so that a clickable link to all these things, or hopefully it will be clickable. You can, of course, just type in the HTTP : / etc. You can just type that in. But please look carefully here. This is for Windows 10. This is for a Mac. And here's more detailed instructions in case things don't work out for you the right way. So for older computers, there's some options here. I'm going to leave this up just for a second here so you can copy down those links. Yeah, you're not going to be able to click on those in the video here. Sorry about that. And then here, there are some older versions. And notice if you're going back to Windows 8 or earlier than that, you do need to have a password to do the download. Not for the Mac version there, but for the, or for some of them, I guess. Well, you can see which ones you need it for. So just make sure you know what operating system your computer has before you do this. And if you need the passwords are all here. If you're doing one of the ones that doesn't have a password, as soon as you enter this URL and hit enter, the download will start. It's a fairly big file. So if your computer, I've had students in the past tell me that they clicked on that and then their computer said downloading, estimated time 13 hours or something like that. If you can get somewhere where you got a faster internet connection, like the high school parking lot, for example, we can, it'll come to you super quick here. So that's an option. If you do the download and it looks like it's going to take forever, just stop the download and come on down here, find a faster connection. All right, so let's say that you did that and you follow all the directions, you've got it on your machine. So then what does it look like and how do we use it? I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to go ahead and this is the little icon for LoggerPro. So somewhere on your computer that should have showed up. If you can't find it, you can always search for it. I'm on a Windows machine here, so you could go down here and type in here LoggerPro, and then already comes up here. If you can't find it on a Mac, you can search in a similar manner to that. I have it open here, so here is what it looks like. Now, there are a lot of probes and fancy things that you can plug into LoggerPro so that you can get data into the in here to this data set part. And later in the year, we'll see some of that. I'm trying to figure out where my little face went, but hopefully you can still hear me. So what I'm going to do now is just run you through some of the features for how LoggerPro works when you do manual data entry. So if you don't have anything plugged into your computer, no fancy physics equipment, then the LoggerPro screen just looks like this. And it just lets you enter things, much like you would do with your calculator, or if you're familiar with using whatever that computer program is called. What is it called? Desmos. You can just enter some points in. So what I did, I just looked up on the computer some data about what's the population of Rockbridge County over the past 40 years or so. I thought that would be an interesting thing to look at. And so you're going to bear with me for a minute here. In my X column here, I'm going to type in the year 1980. Oops. And then I've got the population data for every year 1983, and then so on and so on. And I've got the data every 3 years up until 2016. Now, I want to show you something here. I'm going to actually just delete these. I could just go ahead and type all those in, but that's kind of a lot. So instead of doing that, I'm going to double click up here at the top of the column, and I'm going to do a few things while I'm in here. First of all, the name of this column should not be X. We are not in math class anymore. No X's and Y's, unless that happens to be appropriate. But here it's not. I'm entering in years. So the name of this column should be year. And the short name for it, I don't know, year is fairly short. You can make it the same if you want, but you could abbreviate year or something like that. And what are the units for that? Well, that's also what year it is. These typically, the name and the units will typically not be the same. So that's a little bit unusual here because we call what year is it, and then we measure that, and the unit is actually year also. So that's a little unusual, but we'll explain that. I'll explain it to you when we get to the next column. Okay, so generate values. If you have a pattern here, I want to start with 1980, and I want to end with, let's see, what's my last one, 2016. I'm going to go up by threes. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with just typing in all of those numbers. And I probably could have done that in as much time, but this is a nice way to do it if you have a pattern in your data. You can do that. So I'm going to click done. Oh, choosing generate will erase the data. That's okay. All right, so boom, there they are. So you can see up at the top of the column, it has a new title now. I've got my year here, and then there's all the years from 1980 to 2016, skipping by threes. All right, and now the population data, I'm going to double click on this Y here. The name of this column is population. I could say population of Rockbridge County, and that's a lot there, so definitely want to abbreviate that. So short name pop, or however you want to abbreviate that. And then the units, what do we measure population in? That's measured in people. So that's a more typical example. Here is the name of what we're measuring, and here is the unit that we're measuring it in. Those are going to be not the same usually. Okay, now here I can't do the generate values because the population jumps up and mostly up, a couple of little downs, you'll see in a sec. So I can't use the generate values. So I just need to go and type them in. So that's kind of a drag, but you know, that's what we do. So you can see here, there's the label on that axis. And I have, bear with me here, 17,724. And then 17,864. And then you can see already this is starting to scale the graph for me. We'll talk about that some more in a minute. And 17,924. And then 18,175. 18,631. 18,779. 19,275. 20,000. 760. You know where I found this information? On the internet. 21,000, sorry, and 10, and 21,014, and 22,350, and 22,330. There's a little dip there, and 22,376. And let's see, hopefully that's all matched up. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so now let's look at the graph here. A couple things to note. Let me just get that. I'm not sure if you can see that little window at the bottom, but let me just fix this so that that's not in the way, just in case it was. All right, that's better. Okay, so notice here, it looks like nothing much happened. In fact, all the points are smashed up at the corner here. So why does it look like that? Well, if you look at what our data is, the first number we have here on the horizontal axis, you might think of this as the x-axis. You can call it that if you want, but we're not going to label it x because that doesn't mean anything for us. It's a year. So the years don't start till 1980. So that's why everything's smashed over this way. And here, the population is all smashed up top because the lowest population where we started was getting close to 18,000. So that's way up here. So if you didn't like that, I mean, you can go in and like type numbers in. You can say, well, you know, I think I'd like to start at 1980. You could type that in right there. But you can also right click, or this is an option click if you're on a Mac, and go to auto scale here. This auto scale will take whatever points you have and just automatically resize the screen to fill up the screen with your points. That is often a very good option. But sometimes we also like to see auto scale from 0. Now that forces the origin to be in there. In this case, I don't really like the auto scale from 0. We might want to do, let's go back to auto scale. There. Now we could say, well, this kind of gives a little bit of a distorted view of what's going on here because it only starts at 18,000 here. So if you wanted this here, to get this little window to pop up, I just clicked on the 18,000 there. If you want that to be 0, you can just click on it and type in 0. And I don't know, you could make a case that maybe this is a little bit better view of the population because you can see all the way to 0. You can kind of see how it's going up gradually. If you do, I'm going to right click again and go back to auto scale. If you do this, it gives the impression that the Rockbridge County population is really kind of blowing up through here, and maybe that's not really true. So either of those are a couple ways to look at it. And one more thing I want to show you here is to go to graph options. I right-clicked again, or Mac, you're going to option click to get that. And in this graph options here, I can give the graph a title, and the title of a graph is always going to be whatever is on this axis versus whatever is on this axis. Not the units, but the names of those variables. So here, I've got population of Rockbridge County versus year. It's always this versus this. If you're reading across the graph, it's like left to right. Oops, left to right. All right, so I'm going to call this graph population. I could put in of Rockbridge County, whatever, versus year. And, you know, and I'm thinking back, we could call this time too, population over time. So if I did that, I could go back and say, you know what, I think I'm changing my mind so that those don't have the same name. Call that time. Oh, you can edit your graph like that. All right, so that looks pretty good. And if I wanted to do a line of best fit, if I think that this looks pretty much like a straight line, it's kind of close, I could try that. This little button up here, linear fit. There's other buttons here. Ooh, that's calculus. Don't touch that one. This curve fit, we're going to use that some, but here I'm just going to go to linear fit, click that, and boom, there's my line of best fit. Here's the equation. We're going to talk more about all that soon. And I think that is all I want to tell you for now. After your first couple assignments of graphing stuff, you'll see me in the videos doing a few more examples of using LoggerPro or graphical analysis, which looks a lot like this in those videos. All right, so there's LoggerPro for you. Please let me know via email if you have any trouble with the download and if you need assistance, and I will be here to try to help you. All right, hope you enjoyed that video. Let's see if I can get back to turning it off. Let's see now. There we go. All right, see you later.